development studies from England. He has been active as a cultural and political right defender since 1990s. He is a frequent traveler, making a representation at renowned think tanks, rights organizations, and political institutions, educating about political, socio-economic, and environmental issues of the Gilgit-Baltistan. And my last speaker is Aijaz Shaikh. He is organizer of the World Sindhi Congress. The organization is involved in advocating natural rights of the Sindh, which have been deprived by the federal system of the government. It is based in UK, Canada, and USA. So Aijaz Shaikh. Now I invite Mr. Tarak Fatah to speak. Perhaps he knows the topic, what he has to say. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I want to address an issue that is quite central to the discussion we're having here today, and that is the national question as it relates to the Muslim world. And the distortion that has crept into how nations or nationalities evolve within what we, for lack of a better word, the Muslim world, stems from the post-Second World War era, where British India and British Palestine are partitioned, but more specifically within the South Asian context, is that within a matter of 3 or 4 years, following 1939, the war ends in 1945, we develop, unfortunately, a consensus that nationalities and nations are not based on linguistic, ethnic, cuisine, culture, rivers, boundaries, but on the basis of religion. This is a turn that takes place defying every aspect of national or nationality theory that had evolved in the last 100 years. For those who were left of center, this defied Stalin's position on nationalities. Those who had studied the question of national liberation from a liberal thinking, it defied everything that Europe had stood for, because what took place in between 1946 and 47 was primarily the threat of the newly emerging USSR and its occupation of northern Japanese islands and the near collapse of even the Far East to the Red Army. And the construct that was introduced in this debate was to create a buffer between the Soviet Red Army that had already entered northern Iran in the Azerbaijan state that had been created, and with the influence in Afghanistan, plus with the allies that the Indian National Congress's left had, along with the Communist Party of India, with the Indian National Army, whether it was Subhash Chandra Bose or Jawaharlal Nehru or Mr. Dange of the Communist Party. The fear in the West after the explosion of the Russian hydrogen bomb was that if the USSR links up with India and encircles the oil supplies that were extremely crucial and vital to what was to yet be evolved as NATO, it would be a catastrophe. And then you notice that within a matter of 2 years, it did not take longer than that, the analysis, the recipe that was offered was the creation of the two-nation theory, which till that time had at the most been a notion of dividing Indians between Hindus and Muslims and making the British the sort of the neutral referee that would enter the conflict to resolve certain issues. And within 2 years, then you have a general consensus that is built over British-inspired politicians that created the national theory that Muslims are a nation. Now, once you had that, You then define, you could not have two national theories at the same time. You developed the notion that if somebody was a Muslim, irrespective of the language, the ethnicity, the culture, or its geography, that group then became the nation. And you created a buffer state between the Republic of India, which was center-left, even in its most benign form, was run by admirers of mild Fabian socialism or committed Marxists or communists. And it ensured that the Warsaw Pact or the Red Armies or the USSR had absolute no physical connection with India, and in between them was what was called the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. Strengthening this Islamic Republic of Pakistan was the CIA-inspired Muslim Brotherhood that was stationed at that time in Geneva and was instrumental in sending to Pakistan the father of now who we know as Tariq Ramadan, who by the way is in the city nowadays, who entered that country along with a number of Saudi-sponsored folks to sit down to create the constitution of the so-called Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And it's in its very second year. The contradictions that exist between in the real national theory of nationalities and the fake identity created as that Muslims are a nationality erupted in the way